Shabbat Shalom. To begin welcoming Shabbat with the words of Maya Fehayom, those who wish under the age of 35 can come forward and lead us.
Maya Fehayom, Shabbat Shalom, Maya Fehayom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
With the sweetness and beauty of young faces and those words, as we take another step forward in welcoming Shabbat, we give ourselves a few minutes of silence to take in the beauty of this spring day, to close our eyes perhaps and think of the sweetness of the hours to come, to breathe deeply and let go of anything that may bring any kind of stress. From the 150th Psalm on page 14.
Hallelujah, 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 birkiya pucho, hallelujah, bikurotav, hallelujah, kerodulo, hallelujah, 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 הללו בני במכינות הללו בתוף ומחול הללו במינים ועוגב הללויה 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 בצלצל שמה הללויה בצלצל תשובה כל הנשמה תהלליה כל הנשמה תהלליה הללויה
To welcome Shabbat with the lights of Shabbat, I'd like to invite forward Max Toll and to come with your family, and Abby Florin to come forward with your family to light the Shabbat candles. And at the end of the lighting, and those who have not had a chance yet to light Shabbat candles or might not have a chance, there are Shabbat candles in the back of the congregation for you as well.
And mercy and peace, oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahidlik ner shel Shabbat.
And let us say Amen.
The next step in making sure that we can fully greet Shabbat is to turn to those around you and make sure that everybody in the congregation, everybody in the sanctuary is greeted with Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbos.
Wherever he is, and the doves just saw my video. Oh, he just looked totally. That's what they're like. Oh no, yeah, that's exactly what he does. Yeah. Oh man. Really, man. No, big blowout last night. Right? Like, I don't think you understand what you're contributing to. What? I don't think you understand.
As we take our seats again, we can turn in our Sidurim to page 10, and there we find the words of Lecha Dodi.
Ya la 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 Lecha Dodi, ya la 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 liklat kala, ya la 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 penei Shabbat. Penei Shabbat nekabera, Shama זמור וזכור בדיבורך השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה איי 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 לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה בראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה איי 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 יאללה לך דודי יאללה לקראת כלה יאללה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי בא אורך ומיורי אורי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלוש יאללה לך דודי יאללה לקראת כלה יאללה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמונה עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה יאללה לך דודי יאללה לקראת כלה יאללה פני שבת נקבלה
Page 15 for Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ילמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייך וביומך ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה Aniran be'alema be'imeru. Amen. Adonai המבורך, ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם
Together on page 17, Beloved are you, eternal God, soul of the universe, by whose design the evening falls, by whose command dimensions open up and seasons pass away, and stars spin in their orbits. You beat the rhythm of day and night. The alternation of light and darkness sings your creative word. In westering sun and spreading dusk, God of all things, you are made manifest. Eternal, everlasting God, may we ever be aware of your dominion. Beloved are you, O Lord, in the serene hour of nightfall.
כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו בהם נגי יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed, Ve'yafta et Adonai Elohecha, בכל לבבך, בכל נפשך, ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך, היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת העם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם בארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We are seated. In a few minutes, or even sooner than that, when we sing the words of Mi Chamocha, words of gratitude for the miracle of the parting of the sea and our ability to make our way to freedom. We connect ourselves to that moment, as is our tradition here, by reminding ourselves and inviting everyone that in the atrium there are bags of groceries. I invite you to take them with you and to think of someone in your life. It might be a neighbor or a colleague, someone who works for you, with you, and to make sure that that food goes to someone who needs it. Because this journey towards freedom that we are always finding ourselves in the midst of only makes sense when we can do the best that we can to reach out and make sure that everyone who is part of our lives, everyone that we share this planet with, can make their way to that freedom as well. We sing these songs as beautiful prayer, page 21.
Mi chamocha ahelim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot חרה ובניך, אוקיי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ויאמרו, זה אלינו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef fereh, nora tehilot Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, u'gyalo miyad chazak mimenu, baruch ata Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
A few days ago, one of our college students, Oren Tershwell, who's very talented as a musician and a deep-thinking and feeling human being, was moved to play, and he recorded it, as he said, a prayer for peace for Ukraine, Oseh Shalom. It's quite beautiful, and I asked his permission so that you are not surprised, but just can appreciate the beauty of it. At the end of the Amidah, of the silent prayer, we'll be able to share it with all of you. That will move into our own prayer for peace. We rise for the Amidah, page 23. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Yalalai, 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el hagadol hagibor v'hanora El Elyon gomel chasadim tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל יושבי תבל.
This got me in trouble last time. This Shabbat is the last one before Pesach, with Seder falling on Erev Shabbat next Friday night. It is aptly called Shabbat Hagadol, the Great Shabbat, as we feel our sense of liberation and renewal growing greater and greater as we approach the night of our going out of Egypt to freedom. Coming back to the Haggadah, like so many Jewish texts, is a bit like coming back to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. There are so many favorite classics that we end up walking past other treasures quickly because if we lingered fully on each one, we would end up staying forever. So tonight, this Shabbat Haggadol, let's explore what is arguably the most underrated part of the Haggadah, a masterpiece hiding in plain sight, and what it has to show us that we may not have seen before. It is the story of 5 ancient rabbis and their night recounting the Exodus in the town of Bnei Brak, 3 towns east of modern-day Tel Aviv. The story comes after the 4 questions and before the 4 children and can slip by unnoticed. Yet it is the kind of text where when we pause and look closely, we may be surprised. The story opens by telling us exactly who was there, painting a vivid picture considering the lives of these figures, as if we heard say that Debbie Friedman had once held a Seder with Golda Meir and Leonard Cohen. That didn't really happen, but I wish it did. The text reads, a story. Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yehoshua and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon were reclining in Bnei Brak and were telling of the going out of Egypt all that night until their students came and said to them, "Our rabbis, the time has come for saying the morning Shema." The story is told in brief, cryptic sentences, a writing style that invites us to probe beneath the surface. The fact that 5 rabbis held a Seder is hardly surprising. The heart of the story emerges in light of the lives of these people. Rabbi Akiva was the spiritual leader of the uprising against the Roman Empire. Bnei Brak was his hometown. The other 4 rabbis were supporters of this uprising. These figures were all giants among the sages of the Talmud. In fact, Rabbi Tarfon is the same person who taught the classic clarion call maxim, "It is not upon you to complete the task, but neither are you free to hold back from it," in Pirkei Avot, Chapters of the Ancestors. One can imagine him saying these words that very night about the Exodus and about the task that lay before them. This uprising was the last stand for Jewish freedom in the land of Israel in the year 135, 2 generations after the events at Masada. For us, this history may seem as old as the Exodus itself, but for Rabbi Akiva and his colleagues, the Exodus was already about 1,400 years in the past. The Torah was older to them than Dante's Inferno is to us, and Moses as long ago as Charlemagne. Rabbi Akiva and his colleagues turned to our ancient story of the Exodus, and when they did, they saw themselves directly in the story. It was scarcely a metaphor. For them, rebelling against the most powerful empire of the era, no one had to tell them how hard the journey to freedom is. No one had to explain to them what it's like to live under Pharaoh and how to live out our tradition and fight for our values when the stakes are highest. What they did need was a way to understand what they were going through, and the kind of hope that is no mere platitude, but absolutely real as the hard times they were going through. Hope that status quos don't last forever, that getting to a freer time truly is possible, and guidance for how to navigate their challenges and get to that better place. The story of the Exodus gave them the fortitude and the inspiration that they needed. This story beneath the story explains why the climax is that the students come and tell their rabbis it is time to say the morning Shema. Usually it's clear that it's time to say the morning Shema because the sun has risen. So only now, at the end of the story, do we glimpse the stunning detail that these rabbis have been holding their Seder all this time in a hideout with no windows. A basement, an attic, a cave. Without their students, they would not have even known it was light outside. It is taught that the Hebrew word for Egypt, Mitzrayim, comes from the root word tsar, narrow, and is cognate with Metzarim, straits, to epitomize all the different kinds of narrow straits we go through. And there is nothing merely symbolic about the narrowness of being stuck in one room. The students appear to be standing by as sentries. It is not stated exactly why, and here the narrative's ambiguity evokes the time's tenseness and fog of uncertainty. One conjecture is that the students were warning their teachers to disperse at daylight so the Romans would not catch them meeting together. Others conjecture that saying, "The time has come for the morning Shema," was a signal that it was time to fight, or that the Romans were approaching, as in war movies where secret agents use code phrases like "the stork flies at morning." Some even infer that these rabbis may well have been planning the rebellion that very night. We too, after all these months and these 2 years and this everything that we've been through, we need no one to tell us what tough times are like. We know all too well how it feels to be confined to one room, to one home, to narrow places, both figuratively and absolutely literally. We know how it feels to witness challenges, turmoil, suffering, and to strive to respond to them as best we can, and to cross through toward freer times and feel burdens start to lift and breathe more easily again. And as war returns to Eastern Europe, we know what it is to contend with Pharaoh. So we, in our time, like the five rabbis in the age of Rome, come to the story of the Exodus, and we see ourselves directly in the story. In what our ancestors said and did, we understand our lives better. We know that we are not alone in our journey. We find that the Exodus story is no museum piece from the distant past, but the compass we need to navigate our absolutely real present. It is no platitude. It offers a hope as real as our challenges. The hope that status quos don't last forever, that it is truly possible to exit a tough present and reach a steadier, sunnier future. Our people has done it before, and we can do it again. And the Exodus and the Haggadah give us stories full of the vivid color and details of how it works and what it looks like to cross through to freedom. The five ancient rabbis discussed the Exodus amid their own unfolding story. Now we tell their story too. And their story, like the Exodus, has the immediacy to guide us and uplift us as we navigate our lives together. Lastly, I'd like to suggest one more candidate for what the most underrated part of the Haggadah might be. That is Hallel, the set of celebratory psalms sung at the Seder, and all the major holidays that in ancient Israel were pilgrimage festivals to Jerusalem, and sung as well on the first day of each new month of the Jewish calendar. The Psalms of Hallel bear poetry and melodies full of lift and light, voicing thanks and praise and joy with all the energy of Walt Whitman or a Beatles album. We find images like in Psalm 114, when Israel came forth from Egypt, the house of Jacob, from a people of alien speech, the mountains skipped like rams, the hills like young sheep. If you've been on the highway to Jerusalem, you can picture the green and tan hills that fill the skyline, the same hills our ancestors saw on pilgrimages, today seen through the window of a bus. The image of the massive mountains skipping lightly like rams, their undulating summits and valleys a dance, the smaller hills like the little sheep of the flock. It evokes joy dancing within us. Hallel is traditionally sung at the Seder in two parts, one before the second cup of wine and the matzah, and one after opening the door for Elijah. Hallel is an ultimate counterexample to the notion that Jewish holidays are only about, they tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat. Hallel epitomizes what we survive for, to experience joy and love, to live out our beloved traditions like the Seder, together around one table, to feel the evocative spirit of Hebrew poetry, to sing the kind of melodies where you hear Kol Ami, the voice of my people, to sense God's presence in this world according to what that means to each of us. I'd like to conclude by sharing a couple lines from my favorite psalm in Hallel, Psalm 118. The psalm says, "Open to me the gates of righteousness. I will enter them and thank the Eternal One." And since this is my last Shabbat at Kol Ami, I want to thank you all and to thank the Eternal One for opening your righteous gates to me for these 3 years that we've had together. My fiancée, Katie, who is here with us tonight, and I are grateful to you with all of our hearts. Pitchu li sharei tzedek avovam odeya. Now here's the English. Open to me the gates of righteousness. I will enter and thank the Eternal One. Ze hayom asa Adonai nagila v'nismecha vo. This is the day the Eternal One has made. Let us revel and rejoice in it. Shabbat Shalom, an early Chag Sameach to you all. God bless you all.
As impressive as that Devar Torah was, I was also really impressed that he was doing it from his iPhone, which I have not been brave enough to do that yet. My hands shake a little bit, so mid-sermon you'd start hearing some YouTube video on how to clean your coffee machine or something. So. But thank you for those beautiful, beautiful words. On page 33b, we find a prayer for healing. We'll be singing the words, "Heal us now," or "Hear our prayer." Hear our prayer. Let's take a moment with our senses heightened and our hearts open to think of those in our lives in need of healing. Imagine us in their presence, sharing some of ourselves with them. And if there's a name of someone you'd like to say out loud to bring a little closer to this moment, I invite you to do so now. Mason Liebner. Page 33.
שפרח אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. מי שפרח אמותינו, שרה רבקה לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing, bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mi shebeirach avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov. Mi shebeirach imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well.
So much to take note of by way of joy the season along with all those things through which we struggle, but it is the joys that carry us through. I'd like to invite forward for a blessing for a wedding taking place May 28th in Brooklyn that apparently is 5 years to the day after they first met. And in preparation for that joyous occasion, I'd like to invite forward Jeff Cohan and Sophia Barson. Let's rise together. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov ve'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu yivarech et hachatan ve'et hakala v'yatzliach et darkam asher yelchu ba mehayom v'hala Yachdav yimtzuu tamid chen v'chesed be'enei kol roehem v'yizku livnot bayit b'Yisrael l'Shem v'litila v'hi shalom b'veitam v'shalva v'hashket b'libotam Kol hayamim asher hem chayim al ha'adama. V'yishlach bracha v'hatzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yedehem. Im kol Yisrael achehem v'nomar, and we say together, Amen. May God, who blessed the men and women of Israel in every generation, bless this bride and this groom. Guide them on life's journey. May their marriage be a joy and a good example to all who know them. May they fashion a Jewish home worthy of praise, a secure refuge where they find tranquility during all of the days of their lives together. May the love of this couple inspire and bless their family and their friends and the whole community of Israel. And again we say, Amen.
Amen.
And some beautiful words to bless you on your way.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
We're going to remain standing and turn to page 36 for the words of Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה יוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
are seated. A moment for you, Noah. What's plural of Mazel Tov? Mezalim Tovim. There's a whole bunch of them for you about to unfold in your life. There's going to be the ordination as you become a rabbi, as you're ordained from HUC JIR. What's the date of ordination?
May 8th, Sunday,
May 8th. Mazel Tov on your move to San Francisco. That will be becoming a very lucky pulpit. They are very, very fortunate to have you coming their way. Mazel Tov on your engagement to Dr. Katie Rosa. And if you didn't know where she was sitting, I was watching Noah as you were preaching, and you had a nice smile on your face, but every time you turned this way, it would get a lot wider. So Mazel Tov for your years, and gratitude for being with us, for your compassionate and your brilliant teaching. And the study group that you've done, the men's study group, virtually helping us to get through these times of COVID, your beautiful moments on the pulpit and leading the lift in all the ways that you've given to us and touched us. And we just have a token of appreciation for you, a mezuzah. I think there's so many places you could put it, your new office, a new home. Take some time and put it in a place where you'll think of us when you see it. But Toda Rabbah to you, and a song of blessing to you as well. We're going to miss you.
Lechi lach to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. And I shall make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi lach, to the place that I will show you. Lesimchat chayim, lesimchat chayim. Lesimchat chayim lechi lach, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach.
I'm supposed to call up Andrew Levinson now. I don't know if you're getting married or having a bar mitzvah or what is. Maybe you could just give the announcements on this Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. All right. Good to see everybody here tonight. First off, Mazel Tov to Abigail Florin and your parents, Amy and Michael, and Max Toll and parents Sarah Hochman and Ted Toll. Abigail and Max will share the Bima tomorrow and become B'nai Mitzvah tomorrow morning. Also, Mazel Tov to Sophia and Jeff on the Ufar blessing and their upcoming wedding. Very happy and excited to hear about it and share in your joy. Mazel Tov to your parents, Alan and Claudia Barson as well. And thank you for sponsoring tonight's festive oneg, which will be served in the atrium right after services. And also, thank you, Rabbinic intern Noah, and congratulations to you and Katie for moving out to California. They are definitely going to be blessed with having you, so good luck to you both. One important thing to mention, and I know you've been hearing a lot about this, the listen and learn sessions. It's not a Bible study. We just need to hear from you about the rabbinic search. We really need to hear how you feel and what you envision will be critical factors in searching for a rabbi. So whether that is through a Zoom session, in person, or online, we really want to hear from you as soon as possible because the search committee is going to start up soon. And very few people have responded and provided their input. So we really want the masses to be involved and get online and fill those forms out. Earth Day is right around the corner. The Kol Ami Green team is selling native plants for, isn't that an incredible transition? I went from listen and learn to planting, but okay, here we are. Different plants for the sun and the shade, so please, if you're interested, look out for that. Moving forward to April, or the end of April, I should say. The 27th, please join us for our community Yom HaShoah service led by our wonderful 8th grade students. And April 29th, please join us after the Kabbalat Shabbat service for another incredible Around the Shabbat Table program. We're going to welcome journalist and author Forrest Cassell. Forrest will share the remarkable story of the unanswered letter, which is a desperate letter written in 1939 as the Nazis were closing in. So the letter was written by a Viennese Jewish couple, and it was mailed to an American stranger who shared their last name. Very interesting. And Ferris got her hands on the letter decades later, and she was able to track down the family, and she's going to share their extraordinary story. On April 30th, the Vienna Jewish Choir will perform at the Larchmont Temple at 8 p.m. In a community-wide commemoration of Yom HaShoah, and our choir, under Cantor Danny's leadership, will also sing that evening. So tickets are available on the Larchmont Temple website. On May 1st, join us at 1 p.m. in the sanctuary to meet with Jonathan Kozmar and to screen his stunning cantata, To Bigotry No Sanction. So it's a musical work composed by Jonathan, and it's based on the George Washington's historic letter to the Hebrew congregation in Newport, Rhode Island. May 10th is our annual meeting, so please mark your calendars. We're going to honor past presidents Susan Arovis and Scott Musoff, and that begins at 8 p.m. And then the 21st of May, we have the Coachman Barbecue, and on the 24th of May is the Kol Ami golf outing. And last but not least, June 9th, mark your calendars. That will be our annual spring fundraiser. Excuse me. That is it. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you.
We open our hearts to those among us who have had a loss during these past days. And as we remember them and those for whom Yortzeit is taking place at these days, if you hear the name of your loved ones, you're invited to rise in your places along with your family. As we remember first, from the past 30 days, Mike Marcus, Betty Sherman, Arthur Berman, Nancy Hewitt-Stone, and Barbara Ann Curvin. If you're in the midst of that time during the year of saying Kaddish, you're invited to rise, as well as those of you here for the Blessed Yortzeits of Paul Axt, Ruth Alexander, Hope Arner, Benjamin Cohen, Constance Cohen, Herb Cohen, Goodman Fleischer, Josephine Forestano, Rhoda Friedman, Eric Gaynor, Pearl Gerson, Benjamin Gershman, Muriel Gluckson, Bernard Goldman, Samuel Goltz, Howard Gutterman, Monroe Heidekorn, Franny Hutter, Israel Kindler, Crystal Lang, George Levinson, Eli Lippman, Louis Littman, Marcia Morell, Charles Packner, Sally Pear, Freeman Rackison, Lillian Robbins, Frances Solwyn, Lori Samet Davis, Hannah Sandhouse, Nesha Shore, David Sheff, Harriet Shore, Harna Starkman, Ilya Shii, Arnold Summers, Chuck Stogel, Cantor Albert Sturmer, Arthur Thomas, Helen Viggers, Florence Vuker, Marion Wagner, Seymour Waxman, Myrna Walensky, Albert Wiley, and James Wogue. And the rest of us will now rise with you. We turn to page 39 where we find the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah ve'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alam u'la'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shemei dekudisha berichu la'elamin kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen.
Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen.
The cantor is going to be leading Kiddush on page 40. But I'd like to invite the two of you to come up. You celebrate a big day tomorrow. We have cups all ready for you, so we'll all enjoy together as the cantor leads us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'beratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maasei v'reishit ki hu yom techila le'mikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu machareta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'beratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Baruch atah b'voecha u'baruch atah b'tzeitecha. We found blessing gathering together on this beautiful Shabbat Eve. May all of us find that blessing as we go forth. And Cantor, I know we talked about what we're going to end with. What did we end up on? What are we ending with tonight?
You know what? I came up with a good one. Shalom Aleichem.
Oh, okay.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא בואכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Shabbat Shalom.
שבת שלום.